All right. Hey, everybody.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, it's Luke Miller from Real New York Tours, and today I am once again with the beautiful Maya.
Dad.
Their birth names are Ruby and Castle. And today we are still in quarantine like most of you, and we decided that we're going to do another Real New York story. So today our story is going to revolve around the New York City subway system. You guys have ridden the subway before, right? In New York City? Do you guys like the subway?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. What do you like about it?
Well, I like that it's been underground. Yeah.
What about you, Castle? What do you love about the subway?
That it's underground and we get to go in it and go so fast.
Goes really fast.
Remember that time where all of the subways were going the wrong direction?
That happens often in New York City. Now, it might not be the oldest subway system. It might not be the largest in regards to how many people use it a day, but it is certainly one of the coolest. I always call the New York City subway the great equalizer because it transcends all socioeconomic backgrounds. Whether you live on Park Avenue or Park Bench, no matter what your racial, religious, sexual orientation or identification, every day as New Yorkers, we go down into those tunnels and get onto those trains, and we deal with each other. And in very close proximity, right? We're all very close to each other. But I do truly feel like it's that close proximity which has allowed New Yorkers to develop this sense of tolerance for each other. We do it every day.
I love you, Dad.
I love you too.
We can be in the subway and wear masks.
Yes, that is true.
Someone can be a little away from us.
That is true.
Like,
that is true.
Only
That is
like
true.
3 seats are like not chosen.
That is true. But you know, you go down into the New York City subway, you look around and you see the whole world sitting next to you. People from every different walk of life. And what makes New York City the greatest city in the world is that it's a city of the world. So the first underground trains built in New York City were built in 1904. And it was a 22-mile stretch that went from City Hall all the way up to Harlem. 1904, 22 miles, 2020, over 800 miles of subway tracks, guys. And over 472 different stations. If you took our subway tracks and put them in a linear fashion, you go from New York to Chicago. I mean, it's just an immense system, isn't it? So when I was a kid, we used to explore the old abandoned train stations down there. When they initially built the subway line, the trains were a lot smaller. They later extended those trains and they had to abandon stations because the platforms were just not large enough for these bigger trains, and we knew where they were. So we would sneak into the tunnels and we'd go find these old abandoned train stations. Think of it as the urban Huckleberry Finn. These were the great adventures we had in New York as kids growing up. But today's story...
Did this really happen when you were a kid?
It did. It did.
Did it really happen?
It really happened. I used to run around in the subway tunnels. Now, obviously, I had a deep love for the subway when I was a kid. But today's story circles around a young boy whose fascination with the subway went far further than mine. And today we're going to talk about a boy named Keron Thomas. Now, Keron Thomas was from Trinidad. He and his family came to New York City in 1990, moved to the very poverty-stricken area of Brownsville, a very rough part of New York City. And Keron Thomas was obsessed with the New York City subway. In fact, he spent all of his days as a young boy reading operational manuals, reading historical books about the subway. He even purchased an MTA outfit uniform and would stand on the platform and chat with other MTA workers to pick their brains about the New York City subway. He hoped that one day he would grow up to be a train operator. One day somebody that drives the train. Now, one day he would meet an MTA worker named Rigoberto Baez. It's a funny name, right? Rigoberto Baez. And he would chat him up on the platform and pick his brain a bit about the subway. But what he also did was he memorized Mr. Baez's MTA identification number. And he would use that number to call the MTA one day and tell them that he was Mr. Baez and he was looking for overtime shifts.
So he wanted to drive the train, so he's gonna trick them he's Mr. Baez.
Exactly what he was going to do. He shows up on May 8th in 1993. He was 16 years old, and he showed up in an MTA outfit with this fake badge number belonging to a different MTA worker, Mr. Baez, and they let him right in, gave him a shift. He hopped on the A train at 207th Street and drove that train all the way from 207th Street. This is the longest line in the city, all the way through Manhattan, all the way into Queens to Lefferts Boulevard. He picked up passengers at every station. Over 2,000 people were on and off that train during that time period.
Oh, so that train must be really big.
That train is really big. He knew exactly how to operate it. At Lefferts Boulevard, he turned the train around and he came back. He did roughly 83 stops and nobody knew the difference, that there was an imposter driving the train.
What's an imposter?
Somebody that was in disguise driving the train.
Did he have a wig on?
He didn't have a wig on. No, he didn't need one. He just had the outfit. He looked like a train operator. Keron Thomas did everything perfectly, until on his way back at Washington Heights, he hit a curve going just a little bit too fast. The automatic shutdown of the train, the brakes, happened at that point. The MTA would show up, and that is where the truth was found out. When Mr. Thomas ran actually into the tunnels, they would eventually catch up with him. He got 3 years probation. But became kind of a cult hero in New York City. Many people said, give that kid a job. He did a great job driving the train. He had a deep love for the New York City subway, but he took it just one step further. So hope you guys enjoyed this real New York story today. If you're ever in New York City, please check out the Transit Museum. It's just incredible. If you want to go see old vintage trains and how they've changed over the years. We hope you guys are safe and well. And anything you guys want to say before we leave?
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day. Hope you're safe and well. Bye.
Bye.